I had him originally over by that sign-in sheet. I'm like, oh man, people might think we're handing out candy today, so I better put them
Oh,
up
it's
there.
9:02.
That's funny. That is funny.
Just in case.
Oh my gosh. Take the prize away from the employees.
Oh, that's fine. It's all good.
You guys ready? Okay, we'll start our commission work session. I think it's a little after 9. All 3 commissioners are here. First on the agenda, Kara. We get an update and a report on the pro rodeo. Yeah, please. Very good.
Thank you.
All right, so sorry it's been a couple months since the rodeo and I'm just now getting in here, but first of all, thank you guys for making it a point to come out and support the rodeo, and for Sylvia and Bruce for riding through the grand opening. That was awesome, so thank you guys so much for that. So this year it was kind of a learning, well, not a learning curve, it was kind of hard because we haven't had a rodeo for 3 years, you know. And then we kind of got a late start, and then our stock contractor ended up selling their company to a different stock contractor, and so there was a lot of hard stuff to kind of work through with that, but we made it happen, and I think that we had a pretty successful rodeo. We had a good turnout. We went back down to a 2-day rodeo. In 2019 we had a 3-day, and we were planning on continuing that, but this year we just had the 2-day. We basically sold out seating wise both nights, so that was great to see the community come out and support like that. We had really great sponsors this year. We didn't have as many sponsors as we have in the past, but we had way bigger sponsors this year. We've never had a title sponsor pay the full $5,000 before, so that was exciting that we found that. And then we had 3 gold buckle sponsors, which we've never had that before. In the past we've only had 1 or 2, and so everybody was really wanting to support this year, so that was awesome. I'm trying to think. The county funded $80,000 for the rodeo, and then total income for the rodeo ended up being $41,000. So we didn't, whatever. We ended up spending $107,000. So remaining from the county, there's about $13,000 left there. We also had $6,600 in in-kind sponsorships. So like Pick a Stitch sponsored shirts and hats, and Blue Mountain Meats did all of our hospitality room, and Blue Mountain Foods did also. So there was a lot of expenses covered by that. So over on the left hand side you can see all of the expenses. I would like to say that this is exact, but a lot of it is I pay with my own credit card, and if I have to send somebody to go get something, a lot of times receipts are lost. So it might be more than this, but if so, then I ate it. So, and then and it's kind of challenging to keep track of all of the finance stuff, having to work it through the county. So this is as close as I could get it to being right on. So it could be a little bit more than this, or it's not less, but it could be more than this. So, but yeah, this is kind of what we've got going on so far, and this is kind of you can take a look at that and see all the numbers. And we had $14,582 in ticket sales. I don't know if you saw that up at the top. But yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Does anybody have any questions?
So was the total purse
Okay, so
55 or was it 48 or?
so the total purse that we put in personally, that San Juan County put in, was $30,000. So on this page, it doesn't add in women's breakaway or ladies barrels. I don't know why they can't work together and do that, but they don't. So without those two events, the total payout was $55,000.
Okay.
So that's including all of the entry fees and everything from other contestants. So it was probably quite a bit more than that because we had a lot of breakaway ropers and we had a lot of barrel racers, but they didn't give me that information.
They do their own
Yeah.
purse thing.
Yep. So yeah. So the WPRA
Why do you
does,
think that is? They just
because it's the women's pro rodeo,
So
and then
Oh.
it's a different
it's a
association,
different association.
and then the PRCA.
Oh,
we had to sign up for both
Yep.
on there. And both of them had the sponsor banners and
Yep.
things like
Exactly.
that on there as well.
Mm-hmm. So yep. So with that alone, we had 55,000 in payout. We had a really great turnout contestant wise. I mean, our second night was definitely not as good as our first night. We had some turnouts, but our first night we had a full rodeo. I mean, we were packed, so it was great. I think that keeping it the weekend of Cortez's rodeo definitely helps out with our contestants because
Yeah.
they can.
were there some that participated?
Yeah, so they go. There's I think there's a rodeo in Cedar City, Eagle Mountain, here, and in Cortez, and so they just try and hit all the slacks and the performances, and they can kind of hit all of them. So it ends up working well that they can do that. I think it might hurt our spectators a little bit because we don't pull from Cortez because they stay at their rodeo and we stay at our rodeo pretty much. But as for contestants and getting good big names,
You see some of the contestants, the minute they're done riding, they're in their
trailer going to the next
they're
one.
gone,
Yeah.
aren't they?
So we originally had our slack set for 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, and they called and said, can you please move it to, I think it was 8 a.m. so that people can make it from our slack to
Oh.
another slack. So, I mean, they're in and out pretty quick.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this looks pretty darn good.
Yeah,
so
I not converted to rodeo. I came both nights, and it was fun watching families from the county, all through the county, come and cheer for their, for
Yeah.
their favorite cowboy, whatever.
yep.
But I had to tell the story. I had done lots of things that are really hard as a commissioner, and I just do it. So when Karen called me and said that it's a tradition for the commissioners to ride in front of ride. She said ride. And so I was just thinking, okay, I never touch a horse, seen a horse. I guess I can ride a horse. And so, and then she said, I'm just thinking of trying to think how to get on the horse. And so then she said, can you be there? I said, I'll be there. She said, well, we'll find you a track. I said, oh, okay, there's a track. And Commissioner Adam and I were in the track. The first night I was just myself. The second night we had to throw T-shirts. Now only the first night I had to hang up because Logan told me he'll be slow, but the minute he was done, he takes a run and forget I'm in the back. Commissioner Adam was really quick at catching himself because he lost his balance, and I thought, what? Anyway, but it was, I think it's a worthwhile event. I can see how bring families together, and it's just and while I was waiting for my turn to go in, and I just got to watch everybody coming lining up, and it's just seeing the moms being nervous for the little girls as they go with the flags,
Yeah.
and it was nice to see some of the companies that
Yeah.
that work here in the county participate with the flags and things like that. I think
Right.
you did a good job with that, and
Thank you.
some companies that we don't see before,
Yeah.
and so it was really good. And so I and like I said, I'm converted to rodeo, so
I was really impressed with the number of Native American contestants.
yeah,
Yeah, they're
that,
yeah.
that were there. I don't know.
And
if
the
they
quality,
were-
the quality of them,
Yeah,
I mean,
they were
good.
good riders, and
yeah,
the
and,
stock was crazy.
yeah, and they had lots of cheering,
Yeah.
people that came in.
We're really lucky being right here in the Four Corners because where we are, we're so close to the state lines. You have to be within 100 miles of the state line to include different circuits. So we're able to include Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah circuits. So
Okay.
by doing that, we pull in a lot more contestants. Actually, we had more contestants than like Eagle Mountain did because we're
Okay.
able to pull so many
Yeah.
circuits.
Yeah, I was. I often thought, what can we do better to bring people from the south end of the county? And I don't know what you did, but you got a
Yeah,
really good turnout from the south end of
Good.
the county, contestant wise.
Yeah.
and also in the audience,
You
I,
think
I just have
audience?
watched in the audience, you
Yeah.
see all the culture represented, Hispanic culture, the down south, everybody. It was just something I didn't realize that
You
it was
bring
just
in
really good.
animals that have never seen a human before. I mean, some of them look like they went nuts.
No, they're supposed to be bringing us really great stock.
Okay.
That's one thing that I wasn't the most impressed with was with our new stock contractor this year. I think that we should be taking bids for next year. They didn't really they were new and I think that they didn't really love the little rodeos. I feel like they're looking more towards the big rodeos.
Okay.
Saving their better stock.
They took their better stock to better rodeos. I feel like we could possibly find somebody that would be.
Well, you'll have
more
time
Hmm.
this coming year to prepare for that. We won't spring it on you at the last
Right.
second.
Right. So
I know I called Kara and I said, Kara, do you want to do a rodeo again? She says, what?
Yeah.
I just
I
want
said, we
to.
budgeted for a rodeo
Yeah.
if you want to do.
perfect.
I think one of the biggest accomplishments at the rodeo is how you converted a pilot into a cowboy.
Oh, I know.
He is good out there. He's
Yes,
just
he jumps right in.
yes. Anyway,
Cowboy hat and all, huh?
yeah.
Well, you have to in order to help with it. You have
Yeah.
to be in full Western attire. So
Yeah.
There you go.
he jumps in and goes
Yeah.
for it. So.
Good idea.
A couple things that I feel like need to be addressed before next year. So because of basically it's me and my husband that do everything. We do get some volunteers towards at the rodeo and stuff. But getting the arena ready, Jason ends up having to take about 2.5 to 3 weeks off of work to be able to come and get the arena ready and get everything cleaned up and ready to go. Like this year we had to completely tear apart the concession stands and redo those. There was a bunch of gates and fence and we had to repaint a lot of the arena. I mean, there was just a lot of work that had to be done. And then the bathrooms, they'd been used all winter long, had not been cleaned once. There was no water to them, so it was really, really a bad deal. So I feel like in order for me to be able to maintain this and continue on with this, I can't. For one, it takes so much time away from my family trying to get the arena and everything ready that we've got to figure out a way to have the arena and the fairgrounds ready to go for something like this. I can't continue to do that. So I think that that's something that needs to be addressed. I know that we have somebody that's over building maintenance and stuff like that. I don't know if we can figure out a way to have that taken care of. And so basically we come in the week of the rodeo and set up the decorations and the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're having to go in and pull weeds, and I mean we're doing a lot that for 10 days leading up to the rodeo. So I think that that's something that needs to be addressed. And then the financial aspect of it, it's really hard to be like paying bills. And I mean, we had late fees because they have like such strict dates of when stuff has to be put in. And so I think that we would put it in and it takes a long time for the process. And so we would end up having to pay a late fee. And so I feel like if there's any way that we could do something like get an account set up for the pro rodeo where the county writes a check to it, funds it, and then we write checks throughout the year through it, and then we can keep a really close eye on what we're doing throughout the year. And then if we have money in it at the end, then we can roll that over to the next year to help fund and help maybe do just a new project at the fairgrounds, or you know what I mean, something like that to help improve. But right now, the way it is, it's so hard to keep track of the money in and out, and it's a real big pain having to try and come over and go through the clerk, and you know what I mean. So those are my two major concerns with it that make it really difficult and way more time consuming than it needs to be. I think that it takes, like right now I figured it out, the rodeo pays me $6,000 to put on the rodeo, and that's like roughly 120 hours worth of work, and I'm putting in way more than 120 hours worth of work. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to continue to justify it with the way it is. So with that said, I would love to see the rodeo continue. I want this to go on, but I just feel like there needs to be some changes made and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I'm sure we can set something up to run it through the clerk's office, can't we?
Well, it's run through the clerk's office right now. The
Yeah.
problem is it's in a county account, and so the bills that come in got to be coded to the account, and then once that's done, so she pays it, then it comes into the clerk's office to go to that account. We cut the check and send it, and so
right.
there is always a delay in that process. Even with
Right.
Anna, she's the same
Yeah.
on there because you're going through the county general fund, and
Right.
so there's that. Once she pays it,
Are those bills only paid once a month then?
every week.
Every week?
Yeah, every
Okay.
week they go through them. So once we get them, but there's that's the delay is
Right.
she's paying it out of pocket, and then there's this huge delay before she
It's
gets
kind of
the
like
check.
more like petty cash.
Yeah, and that's
a
what
petty cash kind of system.
that's about the only way you could do it. Kind of like she had mentioned is she would have to set up a checking account. We would fund the checking account, but with the tax money, then you lose sight of it. And I'll have to check with our auditors
Okay.
to see if we can do
Something like
a
that.
separate account outside.
Right,
And
okay.
so Anna's kind of the same situation where Anna codes it for us, I sign it, and then we submit it. And so
Well, and
there is
like
that
with
timing.
tickets, like if we had our own account, we could set up a Venmo, and then people could buy their tickets or credit cards or whatever.
they
But
can
right
do
now it's like cash or check only
Yeah,
type
yeah.
deal, and it just, like I could pay for the PRCA fees with the credit card. It would just streamline everything. But
Yeah.
right now it's way more difficult.
Yeah.
So
And it, as it grows, it need to be that way.
right.
And so,
What about somebody to help with the grounds work?
So that one's an interesting one. There's some former arrangement with the Moab veterinary. So the vet comes over here on Wednesdays, and all winter long we close off the water to that restroom. But he has a key to that restroom, so he'll go in and use the restroom with no water, and then it just sits
Just
in there all winter
piles up.
long. And then she comes in and like, "Hey,
Yeah,
am I
it
supposed
was-
to clean this?"
Yeah,
And so
that's
it was
not-
pretty
no.
pretty nasty. We had maintenance go down there after, but it's been sitting there all all winter long. And so one of us like, why does he need to have keys, to the restroom?
When there's gas station or something else.
Or he
Yeah.
could even get his own porta potty set up.
because
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
using the service for
Well,
free, really.
Let's just change the key.
And that's one of the thoughts. But yet, he performs the service to the community as the vet. We don't have a
Well,
local vet, but we've got to
Yeah.
work with him a little
Yeah.
bit better on work.
we can
Just-
tell him come use if this is open. He can use the restroom here.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just kind of it's just more than just having her clean up. It's just
yeah.
somebody had to do it in the beginning of the year, and
Yeah.
it's a lot harder to do it than just clean it, lock it up, and
Yeah.
You shut the water off, it should be
yeah.
Should be locked.
closed.
And-
So-
I'm thinking more
It's a
about
help-
the weeds and the
The
maintenance
weeds and
of
that,
the
yep.
corrals and things
yeah,
like
the
that.
gates and the fences.
What can we do about that?
I think that's the same type of. So right now, your maintenance crew is struggling just to keep maintaining of the.
Could we have like a
buildings, and so-
barbecue and invite people in the community to come and help to get ready for
For
that?
that,
For the fair, for all the things that coming up, if we people, we can do an activity. Maybe the county can sponsor activity where they can come and can have
Or do we need to put some money in for somebody to help you with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the best way to handle it other than it. I don't know what the
because I
best
think
way.
with junior livestock, they would say the same thing as like nobody's maintaining the stuff, but yet
Right.
they're really the only users of part of the facility, and so it's how do you get. I think part of it is going back to my understanding is they used to have a committee where everybody would come in and sit together. So the fair, the rodeo,
Right.
junior livestock, and then kind of operate that
Mhm,
whole
yeah.
system down there on
Mhm.
their own. And I wonder if that's part of it is missing is nobody really knows
Yeah.
what they're in control of. And so
Exactly.
And
without
she-
the rodeo,
yeah.
then Anna would have to come in and do a lot of fix ups on
Yep.
things.
Well,
and
and
so,
then you have the horse sale in the middle
yeah,
of everything.
Yep.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
the-
They use the facility.
Yeah.
Well, and Anna even commented this year. She's like, "I'm so glad that your rodeo's back because now that makes it so much easier for me to get ready for fair."
Well, because
You know,
I mean,
'cause-
they literally rebuilt the whole concession
Yeah.
area on their own time, and so it's trying to. I think it's a pool of getting everybody together. Okay, who's got what, and then just make the assignments to where we can coordinate the efforts down there. The road department, they do a lot of assistance down there. Gallegos, he's down there working on the arena side of it, and so I think bringing everybody together and sitting at the table. Okay, who?
especially as
who
we're
and what do we
talking about
need?
more things happening at the
Mhm.
fairground.
Yep. Yes.
I think you need to be more
Yeah.
organized.
we do.
Because
Well,
we can have with schedules, with
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a committee, it's
Yeah,
whatever it is.
I think
but
the
it had
committee
to
will
be-
help. We sent the maintenance crew down there this last year, but it's all when she's trying to operate and get things
Exactly.
going.
Yeah.
And so it's just trying to
If we could
coordinate
get
all
it
that
done the
before
first part of May,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah,
so
let's
when
start
we
kind of
show
a-
up for the rodeo, it's just ready to go.
it's ready to go. Yeah.
Especially if the weeds can be sprayed when they're little, And
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of-
And Frank's usually pretty good about getting the weeds where he can, But
Yeah. But we've got a weed department that can come through and spray that
Yeah.
stuff so that
Yeah.
we don't even have the weed problem. And so
Yeah.
a lot of it's just inner coordination,
Well,
knowing
just-
that it's going to be there. Let's start just putting time and attention to it. I think it'll be a lot easier. And then hopefully we can get it prepped so that when they come in, they don't have to spend a lot of time in fixing the gates and things
Right.
like that.
Like-
Knowing that, if we can continue to fund this, knowing that we have permanency, get the RV stalls there, then there's just going to have to be a little bit more attention
Mhm.
played to down there. I think every organization that as they come in, they have these similar asks. Hey, we need to improve this.
Right.
And concession stand. That's one of the things that we've heard for years that we constructed it in a hole, so all the water drains to that, which
Right.
led to the cabinet and everything else failing this last year. And so
Right.
fortunately, she has family that she's
Yeah.
able to convince to come out. And that's, I mean, that's if you think about it, on citizens' back, that's a pretty big ask. It's a tall ask for $6,000.
Right.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah.
hardly anything.
No,
Yet.
and it's something need to be done because we're talking about the fairground with the
Yes.
community development. Some of the things can
Yep,
happen there,
exactly.
and so we
Yeah.
need to start when it's small.
Just
figure
pay
how we're
attention
gonna
to it. Yep.
help her grow.
And if you're gonna charge, like luckily for the rodeo, it's a county event, so it's not charged. But if you're charging people like the horse sale or something, like when they come in, it should be ready for them to
Yeah.
use, and it
Yep.
should
Yeah.
be, if it's a public facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're charging, you want to be able to walk in and start putting your stuff. You don't want to
Exactly.
start
Yeah.
cleaning
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
The wind helped me yesterday. I thought I should have brought a broom to the
Yeah.
park, but the wind swept all the stuff.
I think part of it too is throughout the year, ranchers will use the stalls and everything. So a lot of times we've got to go in and clean up after they come in and stage their animals for auction or whatever. And so I think we just need to pay attention to the general operations throughout the year down there, so that when it comes time for the rodeo, nobody has to muck out the stalls. That those are whoever's using it at that moment has the responsibility to clean it. Before they leave or after they leave, they need to come back and clean it. And so, on the rental side of it, or the management side of it, I think we need to just pay a little bit more attention to
How
that,
about
because if they're
deposit?
breaking the
how about
gates-
deposit? If it,
Yeah, well, and some of it is because the facilities are down there, we offer it to ranchers for free to hold their livestock in there, and we want to continue with that, but yet be responsible for it. You break a gate, let us know, so that there's not a
Yeah.
massive fix up before we
Right.
have these events, that we're kind of maintaining it and managing it all year long.
Mhm.
And so,
Well, I
yeah,
think you'd be surprised about how many traveling people
yes, you,
stop
do.
at the fairgrounds
Yep.
to overnight their horses or their
Mhm.
yeah,
their animals
cows.
or to work them out or
Well,
whatever.
and with that said, we had the week before the rodeo, the WPRA was calling us saying that there was going to be a bunch of women turn out because they stopped by our place in March or April, and it had weeds growing in the arena and it wasn't maintained, and so they were just going to turn out because it didn't seem like it would be a safe arena for us. So
Yeah,
when I hear stuff like that, I think we really need to maintain the fairgrounds year round.
March or April, we had snow in
That's
the
what I
arena.
Yeah,
said.
we
I was
did.
like, I was
I mean,
surprised.
I don't know what
That's what I said. I'm like, I'm surprised that you were even able to see the ground,
could even
really.
pull
But
into the fairgrounds in
Yeah.
March or April.
so
Yep.
Well, it's always a challenge. We always get
It is.
complaints about the condition of the arena and
right,
when do you start working that dirt and when do you
it's hard.
how often do you work it? And
Yep.
I mean,
we appreciate that you talk to us.
Right.
Sometimes we hear things, but they haven't talked to us.
Right.
And so it's so much better if people come and talk to us, and we can talk about solutions and
Right.
because we
Yep.
don't want to lose people that trying hard,
Right.
but because we haven't heard it, and so
Exactly.
it's nice to
Yeah.
appreciate that. And
Yeah.
well, I'm sure we'll put our heads together
Okay.
and figure out
did you
some
buy a new pickup at Larry H. Miller to get them to?
I actually did buy one from Larry H. Miller, but it was after the fact. Yeah, they were
That's
great.
Impressive to see that.
Yeah.
they participated.
Logan
Oh,
Monson did that one for us.
5,000? Yeah,
So,
that's super cool.
yep, they're great. So,
Good for them.
Commissioner, I've got some comments.
Yeah,
if I
please.
may. First of all, I think I need to begin with an apology for not being part of the two commissioners who rode. I
We
don't know what.
understand you don't want to be seen.
Well, I think I got the text the night before, and I was out of range, and so
Yeah.
yeah. So now I know that's happening, but
And-
please, I hope that didn't come across as
No.
he doesn't like rodeos or anything. The invitation to even be there, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's gone on my calendar now, mental calendar for next week to, not next week, next year to remember you guys are doing this.
Perfect.
But just wanted to comment about how you organize this entire thing. It sounds like you also were caught off guard and asked to do this. But impressive organization. Nothing like an event like this to heal the community after COVID. And I imagine the community was wanting this,
Right.
and it's a huge endeavor, it sounds like. But I like how you brought back some of the important things, the hard asks.
Right.
So and that's a learning curve for me and Sylvia on other events in the future. And the only thing I can think of is maybe we need to start charging a deposit for cleaning. And if they're not going to clean it, well, they already paid their cleaning in advance for us to use that.
Right.
You know. Anyhow, thank you, and look forward to attending next year. I'll make sure I make room. So
Perfect.
that's it. Thank you, Commissioners.
Well, thank
I
you.
think I heard some feedback from the Cortez Rodeo that some of the Utah Wright family participated over there and maybe won the event or placed
Yeah.
high in the event. It's always nice to
Yeah.
see those kind of people show up
Yeah.
in the area. And
I would say that the PRCA didn't give them the day that they wanted because they were on the list, but they drew out immediately.
okay,
So I'd say that they didn't get the performance date that they wanted.
Right.
So hopefully in the future they can work with us on that, or, you know.
Well, they've been here before.
Yeah. Yep. And it's great.
They've come to our rodeo, but
We still had some big names show up, but not the right
I
big
think we
names.
never. I think we can send an apology letter to Brittany Posey and have her come back. Barrel, isn't she the one that complained?
No, she came. She came to our rodeo this
Or
year.
did she
Yep,
come?
yep,
Okay.
she
I
did.
thought it was her that
Nope, it wasn't her.
stopped
So
by.
nope. I don't know who it was. They didn't give names. on
And the
who
little
they-
gal that is paralyzed, is she at the
She
rodeo
came too. Yep, Amberly Moore. So
She's
Amberly
paralyzed in
Snyder,
the legs.
sorry.
They have to
Amberly
strap her
Snyder.
on the
Strap
side
on,
of
she
the
Yep.
road.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
She was really great. With all of the kids that carried flags and all the little junior rodeo
Yeah,
group.
that was perfect.
She had them all get together and took a big group picture with them. So
Oh, how cool.
really neat.
That's way cool.
So
And that's what there's always these stories behind the event that are, and especially for your kids, your youth, to be able to see
Right.
this and take part of it. It kind of gives them
right.
little more opportunities as they're growing to participate in things like this and kind of build our own.
Exactly.
You have respect by having during the fair having those
Yeah.
all the games. The
Yeah.
family, I mean the games. And
Yeah.
those little guys that get to know Brittany, little boy told I said I ride in a truck and he said, I ride in a Jeep.
Oh.
It was a sheep.
Oh, a sheep.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're tough little guys and
Yep.
they could bump off the
Yep.
sheep and so
It's
I
really
am
cool.
yeah. It's a good event to raise good strong
Right.
people.
Right.
Carrie, you do an amazing job with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We want to support you every way we can, and
Okay.
we'll take these suggestions and work on them
Okay.
Yeah.
for next year. But as far as I'm concerned, she can plan on our support for next year's
okay.
rodeo.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, we'll budget
Yeah.
again, and
Okay.
Yeah.
Jed.
Can I interject something just because I've had a lot of experience organizing in really large events? I don't think that you'll accomplish what you're going to try to accomplish at the rodeo grounds unless you have somebody's position title as grounds manager. In other words, someone has to be in charge every year, even if they have another position in the county. Somebody's got to be. The responsibility has to fall on somebody. And if you have a grounds manager, then that will help alleviate a lot of those issues that you're talking about.
I think that's a great idea.
And I think that's something we have to look into as we have more plans for the fairgrounds to do things that will bring not only events for fun, but also for income. So I think
Right.
that'll be part of something we have to start
Right.
It's
thinking
just that
about and looking.
responsibility has to falls somewhere.
Exactly, because
So
right now
they-
they're just passing the buck right now.
Oh.
Everybody, you know.
Well, somebody that knows what's going on
Yeah.
every day, somebody that knows we're gonna
Well,
bring
not only
this.
that, they can help organize the different things that need to be
Yeah.
done.
And even to help bring events,
Correct.
Well, it's hard to employ somebody 12 months when you're only using the rodeo from
Two.
about June to
Right.
October.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's people that think they gotta have that rodeo arena in immaculate condition for their horse so they can go down and ride it once or twice a week, but.
Mhm.
you know,
Well,
there's
and
gotta be-
if you're needing to, I mean, you could charge to use the arena if you have maintenance, weekly maintenance. You know, you could charge to use the arena. You know, that's how every arena in the state functions. You know, when they build these big indoor arenas, they charge a monthly or a yearly usage fee, and then that's what helps pay for their groundskeeper.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know,
Yep, and I think
So-
the critical part, and I think it's an underutilized resource. As we put more time and effort down there, I think you'll see a little bit
Yeah.
more of that. As people
Yeah.
they've approached me as like, hey, we want to get jackpot roping on Friday nights and things like that. We've had citizens that come out and say, hey, we need the grounds prepped so that our kids can go up there and ride. And so I think
Mhm.
there's a little bit more coordination that needs to take place in that, but I think there's opportunities to activate that a little bit better.
For new things, especially with the upgrade we're trying to do. It's gonna
Yes.
be
Yep.
more opportunity
Yep.
for people to want to park
To be down
there.
there, yeah.
But
Yeah.
we also need to figure out how we can generate
Yeah.
funds to improve it
Yep.
for everybody's benefit,
Yeah,
for
lots
sure.
of opportunities there.
Yeah,
And so-
definitely. So.
Okay, we'll work on our end, and we appreciate what you do on your
Perfect.
end. We'll try not to work you to death next year.
Okay, thank you.
I know.
We can get some help.
Okay, sounds
so
great.
You don't have to do all the prep work.
So, do you think on the budget side of it, 80,000 was that enough? It looks
so-
like we got a profit here, but
We do have a small profit. I know that if we were able to increase our payout, we probably would get a little more contestants, bigger name contestants.
yeah,
I don't know. Like right now, we've got a good amount of contestants, so it's just wherever the county wants to go on that.
okay,
So if we decide that we have a little bit more money, I think that next year it definitely needs to go up to a 3-day rodeo, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
okay,
So with that, you'll get a little bit more ticket sales, but I mean, you'll get a little bit more income, but
okay.
I don't
Being
know.
able to start earlier, you'll kind of have that.
Yeah.
It looked
Where you
to me
get
like
sponsorship.
They had to
Mhm.
dig up the sewer line on the
We did.
Yeah.
concession stand. Was that something that had been building up over time, or just?
so apparently it had been oozing underneath that trailer for quite a long time.
Mhm.
But we lucked out and didn't have any issues in the restrooms by the concession stands, but over in the Lions Club building, it backed up in there, and that's where we had our hospitality room.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we
Hopefully
were down
that's
there.
fixed then, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
think
you
they-
replaced that whole line
yeah,
coming down through there, and so
I don't think there was any problems at Fair with it.
This is a good report. We appreciate you bringing this in, Kara.
You bet. You guys
Helps
have
us.
any other questions? Just
Okay,
give me a
good
call.
job, super good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Really cool.
See you guys.
Okay. Updates from our landfill operation.
I'm not sure, 100% sure what got included in your packet, so
Everything that you sent.
everything I sent, okay. I'm
Which
gonna-
one? So I've got you just on the landfill operations update first, and then you'd go into the employee incentive program after
Okay.
that.
All right, sounds good. So on the overall update, first thing I'd like to say is I believe that the overall aesthetics of the landfill, the look of the landfill as you enter it, as you drive around it, have improved a great deal. When I first got there, there were areas where trash had been stockpiled for almost an acre that had never been smashed for a while, and I asked them why, and there was lots of reasons, but still didn't add up to why it wasn't being smashed. So And I don't know if that was because of the lag time between the last manager and myself, or, I just don't know what the cause was. But we've taken care of that. The overall aesthetics of the landfill has improved a great deal. We're still working on other things to continue to improve it. One of the things that is probably needs to be looked at and become a priority to us is the cell structure that we currently have was on, I believe, from all the information I can see, was built on a 50-year plan when the landfill was originally opened. One of the good things about it is that the amount of trash we're receiving has accelerated that. We're only probably roughly 30 years into the plan, and we're in the 40-year portion of the plan on the cells, and we've only been into that. That was supposed to be a 10-year cell. We've only been into it for about 3 years, and it is almost completely full. We'll probably fill it sometime next year. And so that's accelerated some of what I needed to pay attention to. I was going to work towards cell closure, but it's accelerated to where I needed to make sure the next cell was open. And so we are digging really hard in the next cell right now and trying to get that completed, because we have a little bit of I believe it's a 30-day comment window where once you open or get a cell ready for open, you have to take it back to the DEQ. The DEQ has to have a comment period whether we can put trash back in it, even though it's already part of our overall plan. So we're working really hard on getting that dug. In the meantime, what I'm doing with that dirt is I'm putting it on our outer edge of the cells so that it also helps improve the aesthetics of the landfill itself, as the stockpile of dirt we're making that we'll use eventually back into the landfill actually covers up the landfill, and you can't see it from the highway. So, as far as being an eyesore or anything like that, that will disappear as the stockpile grows, and you won't even be able to hardly see any of the landfill from the highway, which is probably a good thing just for the public and in overall appearance. But what that's created is we have enough land there that was initially set aside for the landfill, but we're basically going to run out of our 50-year plan way ahead of the 50 years. So we need to accelerate and start looking at in the next probably year or two that we need to have an engineering company come in and reevaluate where the landfill needs to expand to as far as cells and with what property we have, what dirt is available, and what's underneath that dirt. One of the disadvantages we're going to have in the next section of cells, if we stay in the current location, is when we started where we're at, we were digging into a mountainside. So we got a lot of dirt to clean out and to cover trash back up with. In the future cells that are slotted to be out is more of an open, flat plateau. We're going to get a lot less dirt. So we may even get to a point where we would have to start looking for fill and dirt to cover the trash. One of the advantages that we've just accomplished that will help with that is we spent quite a bit of time with the DEQ getting an alternative cover approved, what's called an alternative cover. It is a spray-on cover that you can spray onto the trash that allows you to put more trash on top of it without putting dirt too quickly. And so that allows us to expand the thickness of the cell or the thickness of the trash without necessarily adding dirt until we absolutely have to. But they do have rules on when you absolutely have to too, so we got to follow those rules. That spray-on cover we got approved from the Department of Environmental Quality, and we got our approval letter about 30 days ago. When I let the company know that has been trying to sell us that, they said, great, we'd love to come and do a demonstration for you. They are coming tomorrow to do a demonstration. We'd like to invite any of you that could make, I know that's a very short notice, but if you would like to come and see the demonstration of the alternative cover, look at the overall aesthetics of the landfill while you're there, you're welcome to come anytime. But tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, they'll be having a demonstration of that alternative cover. We'd love to have you if you can.
would come and sit there and wait to price to these meetings.
Yeah.
So,
And we understand that.
yeah.
It kind of developed rather quickly, and we apologize for
Oh,
that.
no, that's
That cover, if you think of like a
a blanket. It's kind of like
birthday
a blanket.
cake, it's like a birthday cake where we would have to put so much clay, so much sand, trash, clay, sand, trash, clay, sand, trash, and your lifts could only be so high. And so now with this alternative cover, we can put garbage with the spray on there, garbage, dirt, and
Yeah.
then
Well, especially when those cells are building up.
yes, it's
They-
faster
So-
than we anticipated.
Yeah,
But then also it minimizes the amount of clay dirt that we have to put on that
Yeah. So it
birthday
can
cake.
be used
So
for
primarily
final
what we sell at the landfill is space. So if we can save some of that space, because the amount of cover that you're required to do with dirt is 8 to 10 inches, to whereas with this spray, it's like a slurry spray, almost like a cement plaster type spray. There's several advantages to using it. One is when you spray it onto the trash, it's only about this thick, about an inch thick. And so you've gained space, and that's a good thing.
Did you save
Two,
Did you save dirt for?
you do
for
save
later.
some of your dirt for later on. The second advantage to that is that it helps keep the birds off the trash and picking in the trash. And that's probably one of our biggest issues out there by far is trying to control the birds. The birds are a big problem. And, it's not healthy for the birds to be eating the trash either. And so this would help with that. The other advantage is the machine required to lay the slurry down is also can be used as a seed machine so that when we get further along and start closing cells out, we can use that same machine to reseed the topsoil. And we don't have the machine yet. That's something we'd have to put into next year's budget for sure. But that would also allow you to reseed the topsoil so that you can, once you complete it and close the cell out, you could reseed without having to purchase or go into some other expenses. So that is, we need to consider that in the near future of getting our plans worked up and ready to go so that we're going to have to involve an engineering firm. The DEQ won't accept that any other way unless we involve somebody that's involved with landfills throughout the state. There's 3 or 4 major companies in the state that do a lot of that. Now, while we're talking about that, an engineering company, there's another thing I'd like to address with the landfill is occasionally, probably, every couple of months, we need engineering or surveyors of some type to come to the landfill and help us out. And we've had a little bit of a struggle with that with the county surveying office because they are in claims that our blueprints are not in digital format. In other words, the new surveyors of today, they just plug the digital stuff into their computer and all I got to do is go walk around and hold a stick up and they can get everything they need. Well, because we have the old-fashioned blueprints, we need an actual surveyor that can help us out that way, or else we need to convert our blueprints into digital format. And currently they are not.
Did you even have a computer down there?
We do have computers and we have Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff now. So those are things that shouldn't be an issue. But the digital format for those plans is probably something we could probably get our plans converted for a lot less than the future engineering, but it could possibly involve the same company while we're looking into that. We have a new surveyor now, a county surveyor, and I'm hoping that he'll come and help us out a little bit. But so far, we haven't seen him or heard from him. But we also, in the way of surveying, are currently waiting on a right-of-way document that has to be completed by surveyors. And that's the only thing right now that's holding us up from getting power at our LaSalle transfer station. We haven't had power there the whole time. There are a couple of aspects there that I'd like to reiterate on is, one, our current landfill operator or transfer station operator out there is in her 70s. She's done a fantastic job, don't get me wrong,
But there's probably going to be a time in the near future where we're going to have to look for someone different. Currently, she runs Fridays from 10 to 5 and Saturdays from 10 to 5, and those hours are working for her. She's happy to be there. In the future, we may have to look at, because employment and finding people is so difficult, we might have to look at just running 2 or 3 nights, like from 5 to 8 or something. And if that's the case, we'd have to have lights. And so that's all the more reason to have power. The other reason is we'd like to keep her warm while she's there and have heat in the little building that we have and air conditioning in the summer or whatever. But so those are issues. We've been to you before and we've completed all the things we need to get power there, but we are having a little bit of a hang up on getting the surveying completed to get right away. I have sent our new county surveyor an email, but I have not received a response on that yet. So anyway, those are, that's an area, the power company, that's all they're waiting on to begin putting power in for us, is that right away.
When I visited you guys, I was surprised you surrounded by power lines
We are,
and no power.
and no power.
No power. And it was kind of a winter time.
If we-
so it's kind of trying to stay warm there.
I agree.
Anyways,
If we would have probably 30 years ago when we built the landfill, if we would have made power an issue then, it probably would have already paid for itself in what we spent in generators and fuel and
Solar
so
batteries.
so if we're looking at future to the landfill, we really need to complete the power structure down at the landfill itself as well. That's roughly going to be in the $380,000 range. We have some funds put away for that. And I think we've had prior commission approval to keep that going.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things that the power company has been short. I mean, they're experiencing some of the same things the county is. They've been short-staffed. They haven't had the people they need in the positions they need, and they haven't been able to accomplish everything they need to accomplish. But they're supposedly have corrected a lot of that right now, and they are willing to get moving forward with some of that for us and help us out there. So those are some of the areas that we're working on. One other aspect is tires. I just want to touch on briefly. The state has a tire program. In the years past, we've worked really hard on getting the tires removed from the landfill and taken where they're going to recycle them or grind them or do whatever they do with them. In the past, it's a pretty lengthy process to get the state to approve the few companies that are in the state that will come and get your tires. It takes 3 to 4 months to get the approval to even happen. And then once they come, the tire company that was coming was only removing about 50% of our tires, still leaving us with a big old huge pile. And so we're dealing with that all the time. This time I really worked them over hard once we got the approval, the tire company that got the bid to come get the tires, I just constantly hammered them and become a pain in their side, I'm sure. But they come and got 100% of our tires. We only have about 4 tires on the ground right now. So we've got that tire pile completely gone, which has been a real blessing. Our new skill house that we've been working on has been kind of, I don't know, it's kind of in limbo. We were asked to not do it ourselves and try to get the state involved in it, and they seem to be really slow in the process. We haven't seen any progress yet on that, and we are in pretty dire need of it. The building is literally falling apart that we're in. It's in rough shape. It's not in very good shape at all. We've had recently, Aneth chapter has constructed and built the transfer station. We've talked about it before. They are going to be ready to be in operation probably within 30 to 60 days, roughly somewhere in there. And we've already got the prior approvals to get the containers needed to take care of them and everything. Just as an update, the transfer station will be online in Aneth fairly shortly. So that'll probably help a lot of the residents of that area. I'm sure there was a lot of tribal funds that got involved in that too. So, but it's going to help all of us, I think, overall. Currently, they have a gentleman in a pickup truck that goes around and tries to pick up trash from residents, and I don't know if he gets them all or what, but he comes and drops off at the transportation currently, and it's hard to haul all of Anna's trash in a pickup. Um, there is a program getting ready to start in Monticello within about a month, where is it Empire Electric that has Monticello Power?
Empire, yeah. Yep.
Empire Electric's going to offer to help residents of Monticello pay for disposal of refrigerators because they are quite expensive to dispose of. They're $40 at the landfill. Empire Electric's going to offer an incentive program to Monticello residents. We are going to provide a dumpster for them to just put them in the old refrigerators. And the Empire Electric is going to basically pay the recycling fee for all those residents of Monticello. Now, that excludes some residents in the county, but it's because Empire Electric's, this is the only area they service in our county. And so they're going to offer that with the fact in mind they're trying to get people to upgrade to more
Energy efficient.
energy efficient
Well,
appliances
that
and different
program
things.
has been going on for
It has,
quite a long time.
but they're going to redo it again this year. It's going to take place on October 10th and 11th, I believe.
If you're on Rocky Mountain, and they have that incentive all year long, every
Yes,
year.
Rocky Mountain has it all the
Empire
time.
hasn't, so they kind of come
Well,
through
one of the
and do
things is
theirs.
hard. It's kind of hard to dispose from
It is.
with fridge because the freon.
Yep.
And it's illegal. I mean, you can't just
No,
bury in your
evacuate it,
backyard.
yeah.
I
And
know
we-
people that did, and Brian's parents did, and Brian had to go with a metal detector to that property,
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
find where he buried the fridge because it would have been a big.
Correct.
So that's the reason they do it too. It's just
That's
it
one
helps
of the things.
the
Yeah,
landfill not to have to worry about.
we contract that service out. Obviously, staff down there, we don't have that skill set to evacuate fridges or to collect that old freon, and so that's a service that we reach out to. I believe it's a company there in Blanding that comes down and does it
Yeah.
for us. And so-
Previously, we had a company out of Salt Lake was coming to do it,
Yeah.
and they were charged, a couple of $1,000s just to get here, and then
So we
start
got
charging us
somebody
by
in
the.
Blanding doing it.
There is an entity in Blanding now that is
That is
performing
good.
that service
We
for
need
us.
things like that.
Yeah, it was a good deal. It was a good change. It's helped a lot and it allows us to get them evacuated quicker and moved out of the area quicker. So that helps a great deal. We also mattresses seem to be, and anybody that deals with landfills statewide, they'll tell you mattresses are one of the biggest pains in any landfill. They have a tendency, you can bury them 10 foot deep. 2 weeks later, you'll find them on top of the trash. I don't know how that happens, but they work their way up through it. And there is a company that is beginning to recycle mattresses up in Ogden, right across the street from Hill Air Force Base. And they've been in touch with us several times. They'd love to come get our mattresses. The problem is statewide, they charge people to recycle their mattresses. In other words, the average charge that if a landfill brings them their mattresses, they have to pay $15 to get rid of the mattress at the recycling place. And then the recycling place with that $15 and what they get out of materials can actually break even or make a profit. So what they've suggested is that we start recycling mattresses. Currently, we do not. The problem with recycling mattresses is while we would pay $15 to them to take care of it, we're currently only charging $10 per mattress. So we'd be losing money right off the bat. The second problem is that's delivered to their place, so we'd still have to encounter freight of some kind to get the mattresses to them. We could contract that, we could do several things, but there'd be an additional charge of getting the mattresses to them. That might be something we look at in the future, of trying to get involved in that somehow. However, it would definitely necessitate raising the charge of mattresses. My biggest worry in our county is if we raise the charge too much, you're going to find people just dumping them out in washes and different things. However, I did do a survey of what mattresses are charged around the state. They range anywhere from $15 all the way up to $35 to $40 for mattresses is what different landfills are charging. The ones involved with the recyclers, I think the cheapest I found with them is $25. So in other words, the landfills are charging the extra money, going ahead and paying the recycler the $15 and still keeping a few dollars in the process for handling them. Unfortunately, we would have to be on the top end of that scale if we were to recycle them to cover freight, all that stuff. We'd have to be in the $30 to $35 range.
So we'd have to transport them up there. They
Yes.
won't come and get them like the tires.
They will come and get them, but they're going to charge
They'll
us.
charge us to
But basically, they said to come and get them, they'd charge us $30 a mattress
Okay.
overall. So that would cover everything.
Okay.
And so they have given us a price on that. They would do it for $30 a mattress. And so we'd have to be, up in that neighborhood of charging them. Currently, we're at $10. I did discover that we are the cheapest in the state on a mattress.
Okay.
We are absolutely the cheapest in the entire state. There are a few other landfills that only charge $15, but one of them is the one that's right next door to the recycling plant, so they have no transportation at all. And so
So we're currently at 10.
we're currently at 10. So mattresses, I think in the near future, the legislatures are also looking at requiring anybody that sells mattresses, brand new ones, are going to require a deposit for recycling a mattress. And they may create a program like they do with the tire program where the state will get involved and help paying for the recycling of the mattresses. Because 100% of a mattress is recyclable. Everything in the mattress is recyclable. It's just not sustainable. It's not a sustainable recycling.
Yeah.
So there has to be some subsistence of some kind. The other thing I was going to talk about was along the lines of fee schedule as well. There's a slight adjustment I would like to see us make. I don't know why this got started this way, but it did. Is we charge $10 for a pickup load of trash, or $10 for a trailer load of trash. But if they bring a pickup and a trailer, we only charge them $15. We're not like the big box store that if you buy more product, we should give you a discount, because what we're selling there is space. I think we really should eliminate that discount for bringing us more trash than
Especially with
right.
You're
the
discounting
sales that we are.
Yeah, we're discounting trash if you bring us more. I don't think that's a good program.
Yeah, well, especially when our sales are,
Our sales are accelerated, filling faster.
yes.
I think we ought to charge $10 for a trailer load, $10 for a pickup load, and so if you bring both, it's just $20. That's my personal opinion on that. And currently, the fee schedule is set to give them the $5 discount if they bring us more trash. I think we should adjust that. So that's most of the updates that I have in way of numbers. I think we're doing okay budget wise. We're doing okay. We repurposed, or not repurposed, but we realigned some money that we had set apart for the new truck that you guys had given us and helped us out with. And the reason why is because our dozer was such an important machine that we had to get it repaired, and repaired quickly. And when we sent it off for repairs, the repair bill, we had anticipated $40,000 to $60,000. The repair was much higher. It was up in the $125,000 range. So we decided to go without the new truck and make sure the dozer was in line and repaired. That's been a positive. We're using the dozer now. It's working great. It's helping us dig out the new cell, because we got one area in the new cell that's really rocky, and you almost have to have a dozer dig in those circumstances. Other machinery-wise, we have a lot of old machinery. We'll need to update at some point, but for the most part, we're improving the maintenance on it. We're keeping it running, and we're doing okay. I don't know if that's a good word in that circumstances. Okay, we could definitely be better. There are several machines that we need a more progressive plan to replace. Currently, we don't have that. We're working on that. One of the things we were able to accomplish this year was that new loader on a lease, which has really improved the ability to work in that capacity. You don't have downtime with it. You don't have, there's so many things a new machine does for you. If you just maintain it right, it keeps working hard. And also has warranty, so that if you do have an issue, they come and fix it, and we're not spending any extra money. So we've had one or two little issues with that, mostly with the air conditioning, and they've repaired it. And so it's operators like their air conditioning down there in the summer. So that's most of the update portion of the landfill. I think we're doing well. I think it's improving. I think you're welcome to come anytime. We'll give you a tour around the whole landfill and show you how we are improving. There's always room to do more. There's the extra staff that we've had some staff issues a little bit. We've lost a couple of operators in the last 6 months. We've been able to replace them and do well in the replacement. I think the employees we replaced them with have been well. Our new administrative assistant down there that we had talked about, whether I'd rather have administrative assistant or part-time trash picker-uppers. At the time I made that decision, we still had a program in place with the jail for
The inmates.
inmates
The
to come and
trustees.
pick up trash,
Yeah.
but the jail has ended that program and said we can no longer do that unless there are funds apportioned to have a deputy be with them while they're there. And that's understandable. I understand that. But for the most part, we've changed some of our operational procedures and don't need those guys near as bad either. And so we've been able to keep the trash cleaned up and picked up without too big of a gap there. What we typically do is we have an hour or two of the mornings when it's cool and it hasn't gotten hot yet, when we have all the employees go pick up trash. And then we'll take the rest of the day, we'll get back to operating and doing the things we need to do in the landfill. So I still think adding the administrative assistant was the best thing to do there, because we have somebody in the scale house full time. It allows the operators to be operating the equipment when they need to be operating the equipment, and it also allows us to dedicate more time to digging out cells, and when we get that cell completed, it'll allow us more time to dedicate to closing cells as well, because we'll have operators available that can spend the whole day doing that. So those have all been good moves, I think.
The tricky thing with closures, just so you guys are aware, the DEQ, one of their requirements is that you don't open a new cell until you've closed a cell.
Correct.
We currently have 7 cells that are open.
We have 6 cells that are
6
open.
cells are open.
We're trying to prepare the 7th cell, which is our final cell in the current plan.
And we haven't fully closed
Any.
one.
No.
And so we're into this mode where we haven't closed any. Now, each month, the landfill is required to put a portion of their revenue into a cell closure fund that sets up at the state, in case, and they do this across the board for mining operations or whatever. In case something happens and they can't finish the job, then the state will come in and utilize those funds. And so we have it's probably $800,000 sitting in an account up at the state that they're collecting interest on
That we can't get
that we
anything
can't
back
get
on
to
until we
because
close some
haven't
cells.
closed any, and so
But we come back when the money comes
it
back.
will.
A portion.
Yeah,
They won't give it all
they
back
won't
to
give
you,
it
but they'll
all.
give you a portion of it
Yes.
back. Yes.
And so we're trying really hard to get everything up to operational standards so that we can push into that closure mode, and that's where making sure we have enough topsoil and the dirt to do it, and the seeding is part of it as well. They require specific slopes. In the last couple of years, that's kind of what DEQ has come down as they do their inspections. They've hammered us on cell closure, and then they've also hammered us on garbage throughout the area, because we built that landfill in a wind tunnel. So people will be dumping trash and the wind will come through and hit those garbage bags, and especially the grocery bags. They go flying miles in the air, and then our staff have to go and clean it up. And so
And
kind
that's
of
what you mean, a garbage pickup.
yes, yep. And
Part
so
of our-
where he's got the berm around it right now, that kind of protects the garbage dump from the wind. And then they can compact it. If we can get this new system where we can spray it down. It'll hold it tight, keep the birds from getting into it and traveling away with it.
Have a lot less wind problem then.
Yes, and so that will kind of help eliminate this, so that we can go back and focus more on the closure side of it. So, and that is kind of where the surveyors come into place, because they've got to give us the proper elevations on that final closure, because it's all kind of mapped out in an engineering schematic of where we should end up at the end of the day.
Correct. And so everything at the end you have to put to what they call final grade, and that has to be determined by your engineering.
By that engineer report. And we have all that kind of behind the scenes. It's just trying to catch up with
Correct.
our operations down there,
Well,
get the
too,
proper
as you
equipment.
replace your machines,
Yes.
you can see
Yep.
the progress.
There's definitely progress.
When I was campaigning, I did visit and I understood a lot about this, the urgency of the sales
Yeah.
and things like that. And so, that's the reason I feel like we're being supportive of the things you're doing, trying to improve that, because we have to invest in order to,
We do.
we can't keep trying to get caught up with old machines and things like that.
If we keep putting it off, we'll get into a really big hole.
Yes,
yeah.
they will start to come back and
Yeah.
fine us.
If you don't pay in the beginning, you pay in the end. So it's better to.
Right now, the DEQ has been very patient with us on the closure of cells. There's no doubt about it. But there's DEQs like everywhere else. They're starting to get a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
We've gone through 3 inspectors this year alone, of ones they hired, someone quit, but now we have another one hired. So oftentimes too, we're going to be left at the mercy of their opinion. And when they come and so, you get one inspector, you may get used to them, and then suddenly you don't have the same inspector again. They could be much more forceful with their enforcement.
And with the wind, you can have a clean one morning, and then next morning comes,
is.
and you have it.
One of the things with that wind problem that we probably should have approached when we first built the landfill, that we haven't, and we still haven't, is that probably the proper thing to have done when we originally built the landfill was to put a chain link fence all the way around the landfill.
Because it would catch
We put
lots
barbed
of-
wire fences like to keep cattle out,
Yeah,
but the real truth of it is the chain link fences actually catch the garbage and don't let it
Yeah.
leave your property,
yeah,
because they've got, a lot smaller hole.
yeah.
So the garbage will press against the fence and it won't let it leave your property. And that's probably another area we should look at improving in the future is chain linking the entire
That's what I was
property.
thinking, I was just thinking chasing the,
Even if we
garbage and
even if we
fence
did
would help.
portions of it per year,
yeah,
it would help, because we have some portions where we know we could stop the trash quicker, because it's, we could definitely keep it from blowing to the highway by doing the highway side right away. And then there's another area where it blows pretty bad. If we chain link that, we would eliminate that issue there too. And then the trash stays in your property then. That's the part they really don't like, is when the trash leaves your property.
oh, yeah.
So, because you're creating other issues,
Yeah.
other places. And of course, we're surrounded by BLM, so the issue we're creating is for
You're
the
in
federal
Bears Ears
government.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a part of the Bears Ears Monument.
Yep, part of the monument now. So that creates a whole nother issue.
Yes.
Which-
Yet I'm a little bit concerned about the scale house.
Yes, I am
Will you
too.
be able to get that done before winter?
Oh, I sure hope so. But right now we're kind of,
We've got a contractor working on that, but we've got a contractor working on all of our projects, and we can't get him. I mean, he's taking the information to get us the costs. We've got grant funding that's sitting here ready to throw at him.
Yeah.
And
So
the
what you mean by the
contractor-
scale house is the little house that you have?
the
Yeah,
building that
that they
we weigh the
have
trucks in out of, it also needs to become our office building, our
Yeah.
break room.
Yep.
And
When I was
and currently
there,
the
it is
what the little
falling
tiny
apart.
thing we have is so small. It's too small for us as well.
Well,
So Mac may have more information on this than I do, but I'll share my opinion of this. So when we originally did that, we came to you, we had some blueprints ready. We said, you know what, if you allow us to be our own general contractor, we can go there and get it done.
Yeah.
There were some concerns about us being our own general contractor, I guess, but I think if we would have stuck with that plan, we'd already have a building sitting there personally. That's my personal opinion. I've built lots of things myself. I'd have just jumped right in. We would have, where I first ran into the first hurdle is I told Mac I'd like to subcontract the cement work, because it would have sped that up. Well, when we did that, then he said, well, let's involve the buildings and grounds. The buildings and grounds wanted to involve the company. I guess there's a company within the state who does projects $200,000 and less.
Yep.
And they're already pre-approved by the state, so no one has to go out and get them approved or anything. When we involved that company, it was almost like we put the brakes on the whole thing. I'd already started to put barricades in place and get ready for it, and I've since moved the barricades because, it was prohibiting traffic or inhibiting traffic anyway.
Yeah.
And so I have mixed feelings for sure. I mean, it would be nice to have a company come in and take care of it and be done. But also, I mean, because we've got plenty to do as well. But also, the fact that we're in such dire need of that building
Yeah.
and not going anywhere right now is definitely a concern for me
And
as
another
well.
cold winter coming. Do you know, when I work at the college, there are buildings that we, as the workers, build, and they're twice as big and just as good. But there's one famous building there they call the Sylvia's building. Every time I heard that, I knew I was in trouble because we're trying to avoid, because we can do it faster, basically, and cheaper.
So unless something happens within the next 30 days, I highly doubt it'll be accomplished before winter's. I mean, the cement, once the cement's up and we get a general structure, then, they can work through the winter just fine.
Yeah.
Do we need to write a letter as a commission and
I don't know if
try to
that'll.
build a fire under these people?
Yeah,
Or
they're just. I mean, you contractors are just that. They're not.
Most
out of work.
contractors in
They
the
can't
state
get labor.
Are having the same issues everybody else
Are
is,
these
labor force.
contractor outside the area, the state contract?
They do region projects throughout the state, and this guy's based on our region, so they do Moab, Grand County.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of a state contractor, and they come in and design. The problem with, especially with the public facility, you want to have a general contractor that's licensed within the state of Utah. Well, I can throw up a building tomorrow. I mean, I've had that experience and skill set, but I'm not a general contractor licensed to do that in the state. And so with your public facilities, you want to have that licensure so that we can get so we can do it right as a public
I
facility.
know what I was saying, I would get in trouble because you take shortcuts and people come, the engineers come, the designers come, and they think, what?
Yeah. And so part of that is
So,
having
good
them look at everything and go through the design. We went to the building supply. They were able to spit us out the design for the building. That's what they do down there. But then just wanting to make sure that everything is done, especially on the concrete side of it. That was where we got stuck with this general contractor. They do the design as well for you on there, and then we task it out, whether we do it in house or that. But they'll give us the design. But literally, on a majority of our projects that we're trying to use them for, we're just kind of stuck at their mercy to when they come down. So all the letters, even we call them, Sam's on the phone with them probably once a week. When are you gonna get here? And then part of it is we have them on our roof projects. We've got thousands of dollars sitting here for roof projects. It's the same thing. They try to use local help on these, and he's like, I can't even get anybody out of Cortez to even look at you guys. And so now they're considering coming out of Provo and Salt Lake. Well, they're busy up there as well, and so it's just timing has not been good for us, favorable for us, especially
So is the
during this
building
time.
going to be bigger than what you
Yes.
have? Good.
Building is 40 foot by 30 foot. So it's about 4 times the size of what we're in. But we
It'll
need,
have the
we really
restrooms
we
and-
really would have a restroom inside of it instead of the outhouse.
Yep.
Well,
Of course, that would be also facilitate getting power there on a consistent basis.
I know when I came there and everybody came in, there was not room.
There's
for
no room.
everybody.
That's correct.
People trying to reach over.
They come in to eat lunch and it's very crowded and very cramped.
Things are falling apart. You can
Yes.
tell that the building's falling apart.
It's-
So,
It's more than falling apart. It's
So-
deteriorated considerably.
so the state doesn't work with local contract, or it's just the local
They
contract?
do. They try to do the local.
My question is, can we just go out and contract to the locals direct?
You can. It's the same timing.
That's what I'm wondering. Why can't we just, if they're not
Fines
gonna
are
come and do
contract.
the job,
Yeah.
why can't we do it?
We can
Well,
certainly look at it.
I think there are local contractors that would come and get at least started
I
with
do
the
too.
cement.
Well,
I do too.
I think if we went direct to some of them, then we would have the cement done already.
I bet there, I mean, I related to two contractors. I know there's other contractors. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was
I
just
only
I was
put a-
just instructed as I proceeded with the process to involve our buildings and grounds, and they said to involve this other company, and so
Yeah.
otherwise I was ready to go forward that other way.
Well, why can't we just have Sam be the project manager and kind of do the inspection and stuff and
Sam,
do
yeah.
it ourselves?
Yep.
Yeah.
I
That's
think we
probably
I think we could.
where
It
we would have to.
depends
We
on
just
what
have
his
to-
time frame and where he's at, and I
Especially-
know he's pretty busy too. But
Well,
Well,
this is not just. I wish we had something better. This is.
it's almost to
you
an
go
emergency
and
point.
see-
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go and see, I left there feeling so bad for them. Think that every time I pass, they don't have electricity. They don't have.
I think if
Well,
a
They
s-
have solar, they have heat and cooling, but they don't
we
have.
we do have power every day, but we
Yeah,
have to
I
run a
mean-
generator to get it, or else
Yeah.
the solar system.
So they're in and out house.
I
And
know. I mean, they just seems like.
The rats
the-
are the mice.
The
are
solar
coming-
system won't run the air
Oh, my
conditioning, so if we want air conditioning, we got to turn the generator
It's a
on. So
health. It's a health issue,
Yeah,
It is.
That's what I thought too.
and so.
I think it would be condemned if a state inspector come and.
Looked at it, they'd be like,
In fact, I have no
"What?"
doubt it would be.
and
Now
so-
landfills are typically, and this is the difficult part. So, a lot of the times you would go to the landfill and they're just in a shack, but yet I think we deserve, our employees deserve a little
well,
bit better than just the
if,
shack.
if
and
the
shack.
money's there. It's not like
Yeah.
if we
Yep.
don't have a way, but if it's a way,
So that
Let's
was kind
figure-
of the mentality of the past, is that we're
Yeah.
okay with being in a shack.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not healthy. And then you get COVID. Like our employees
Oh.
really don't have a place to wash their hands in hot water. There's no hot water down there at all.
well,
And so, or running
Yeah.
water. I'm like,
You
we've
know-
got to get a little bit better.
yeah, I can understand the roof because the roof probably is a little bit more
Yeah, the
than
door.
what some
yeah.
contractor can do.
Yeah.
But if it's um,
I'm capable of building all of it, but
Well,
I got to
know,
get permission to
But
do
you're
it.
the landfill operator.
But I am the
That's
landfill
hard
operator, and I
part.
have other things to
Yep.
do too.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I have done, I started doing, is I go throughout the entire state of Utah and seen other landfills. We have, SWANA, which is the Solid Waste Association of North America. We're a member of that. I'm a member of that, and they're also the ones that license us
And train.
and train us in different
training.
things. Well, there's a chapter of SWANA in Utah called the Beehive chapter, and we have a meeting once a month, and I try to attend those meetings. And in the process of attending them, I see lots of landfills.
yeah,
I would say the shack mentality of landfills has gone away.
Gone, absolutely. Yep.
And most of the landfills I go and visit now are $1 million facilities.
well, the one in Midway, I mean, there's one. They amazing. that
They're
is
they're
there.
huge facilities. Most of them have sorting stations in them, recycling functions to them. And that's part of what leads into the next segue is talking about recycling. I have been getting a lot of requests from residents. How come we don't recycle? You'd think in today's society we should recycle everything. Well, probably the biggest reason that landfills don't recycle is cost effectiveness. The thing that the most residents see that you can recycle immediately is paper and plastics. Well, paper and plastics generally are absolutely non-profitable to recycle.
A lot of
There's-
places have stopped
There's
recycling those
no,
out there.
in fact, paper for the most part, most landfills say we can break even. Plastics, most of them are going in the hole to recycle plastics. However, they're still doing them, the big landfills, because they have a customer base that almost requires it. Now, who's the best sorter in recycling? By far, the best person to sort the trash is going to be the first person that used it. Your household is the best place to have your trash sorted. So unless we involve communities, Monticello, Blanding, the different Bluff's one of the ones that's really after us for recycling. But unless those communities are involved, I don't think you can ever get an effective recycling program going. However, at the landfill basis, if you look at and refer to the slideshow up here, we can recycle metals and non-ferrous metals at a profit. We can actually make that profitable to us. So one of the things about a landfill for getting metals out of it is we have these great big steel-wheeled machines, and they will just run over everything, literally smash anything in its path and smash it down into the trash. It's pretty hard to incentivize a person to jump off that big machine that will smash anything, and he doesn't ever have to touch anything, doesn't have to get down and smell anything, or to help us recycle those metals and non-ferrous metals. And when I say non-ferrous, it's going to be your copper. It's going to be copper wire and stuff like that. The trash is full of that all the time. We've improved a great deal in getting that. There is income in all of that, but it's just dirty work. You're not going to get that without getting kind of stinky and dirty. The problem is getting operators willing to get off their machines to go after it. Now we have some numbers up there about prior to me showing up, we had mixed metals of about 309 tons. That had been collected over about a 4-year period. Since I've showed up, and it's a constant battle. I have to get after the operator. I have to do a lot of it myself because they don't really want to get off the machines and go get the metal. We've collected in a matter of from the 8th or from the end of August of last year to February of last year, we collected an additional 200 tons of metal. So considerable improvement, considerable amount. Now there's two things happening there when you're doing that. You're keeping that metal out of the landfill as well, and so you're buying space. So we're gaining space there as well.
Yeah.
Copper requires extra work. We've got to take it into the shop. We've got to strip it. Copper pays way better when it's stripped down and it's bare copper than it is if you try to sell it with the wire still around it and whatnot. So we've improved a great deal in the amount of tonnage that we're getting in metal, but I would say we're still only getting about 60% of the metal out of the trash. And the reason why is that very thing. There was some pictures included in those slideshows to where you can see the metal that's down in you can see that in that picture is a big hot water heater there. Well, it's been smashed by a compactor already. To come and get that, someone's got to get off the machine, go hand pick that, throw it in a bucket of a loader, and they get dirty, they get smelly. And so with this in mind, as I go to those meetings throughout the state, I've asked them, what do you guys do to get your employees to go get that metal? And without fail, almost every single one of them have started an incentive program. What they do is they offer an incentive to their employees. They basically pay them bonuses to go collect the metal. And how that works, it varies throughout the state, but as I checked with the different landfills, almost every landfill I checked with has a program of some kind, of incentive program of some kind. Probably the most common one, the most common numbers I found were 60-40. In other words, for every time we sold metal, the county keeps 60% of the revenue. The employees at the landfill were split evenly among all the employees, 40% of the revenue. They said when we started doing that their numbers in the amount of metal they started collecting increased significantly. And so I thought, well, is this just one or two people doing it? So I checked all the landfills in the state. Without fail, almost every single landfill. I think there's only one other landfill in the state that doesn't offer an incentive program. And they're not even trying to collect metals. In other words, they're just smashing everything into their trash. I think it would be to our benefit to offer an incentive program.
And even to our workers, the economy, the way the economy is, we don't have the money to give more money to them, but if they can be incentivized.
This is something that we sell and we recuperate because we collected the metal.
Something that's going to the trash. And so, I think that I keep thinking, keep the cells empty.
I'd say in the past year alone, and of course, I've had to really write them hard to make this happen, is we've probably doubled our collection of metal.
That coming, it would be start being more
Yeah.
automatically and start
So
thinking,
so I talked Transjordan, the one up by Hill Air Force Base. So anyway, I've talked to them, and the way, because my initial thought was, okay, if I have one employee that's more aggressive at collecting the metal than another, then I ought to reward him more. And almost every one of them told me, no, that doesn't work. I said, if you don't involve every employee in the landfill, that includes your scale house person, the manager, everybody, then the overall picture has to improve. In other words, everybody has to be on board of, we're going to collect more metal because it means we get a bonus at the end of the year, end of the quarter, whenever you decide to pay them. Transjordan told me that they almost tripled their tonnage of metal when they started doing that, because an operator running the compactor would run over and say, "Oh, look at all that metal." He'd stop the compactor, get off, go pick all the metal up, and go put it in a bucket, or put it in a pile somewhere so somebody could come and pick it up. They got to where they would get to the point to where every time they worked trash, they made sure they had two people working the trash instead of one. So one person can be just standing there ready. Oh, there's metal. There's metal. And so it really did improve what they did by incentivizing them. So I would propose that my proposal is to incentivize them and do a 60-40 split with them, so that we can get them to go get down in the trash. And if you haven't been there, you don't understand how dirty of a job that is. It's terrible. But if you can incentivize them to do it, and the county's gonna save two ways. We're still getting paid for the metal, but we're also going to increase our space in our landfill.
yeah, I mean, and that's important right now because we are, especially if we put a water heater, it takes lots of room and
Right. And so I would propose that we do it. As I talked to the employees, I says, if we did this, what would you prefer to get paid every quarter? Most of them have said, well, we'd want to just get paid once a year just before Christmas or something.
oh, that'd be nice.
So it'd make it like a Christmas bonus to them. And all it's going to require on us is to track the recycling program, which we're currently doing anyway.
Well, I think this is on our agenda for our regular meeting, isn't it, Mac?
Nope, we wanted to approach you with it if you guys are okay with it. There's really, this next year as we finalize the budget, and I think we can do multiple at the same time. I think there's some fee opportunities that we need to correct, get those up to a standard, and then we can bring this along for final approval here at the first of the year.
Jamie, how you feel about it?
I think it's a good way to save space.
Yeah, I think a lot of the bigger landfills, and we're not quite that operation, but some of the bigger landfills have thrift shops and everything. They have stores that, as people throw away good garbage,
So we've
those guys are getting
started an aspect of that. We call it a repurposing program.
There's a lot of opportunity.
We've had
there.
some things like I'll give you an example. So 2 months ago, Natural Bridges was remodeling all their employee housing, and they put all brand new refrigerators in all the employee housing. They brought us probably 10 refrigerators. We just put them out, and the guy told us they all still work just fine. It's just we're replacing them all. So we just set them up outside along the fence. We put a sign on them for sale. It's at $20 each. Every one of them sold within 30 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So I think there's
And so there's
like
opportunity
that.
to repurpose stuff like that. Sometimes we have stuff come to the landfill that's still brand new in a box. Somebody had bought it, put it on the shelf, and decided, well, 10 years later they didn't want it. They throw it away. And we've been able to sell a few items like that. It just goes into our daily income.
Mhm. Yep.
When Brian's parents died, Brian and I volunteered to be the ones to finish the cleanup. And there was lots of good stuff, and we started taking trip to Provo, from Midway to Provo, because that's a secondhand store, and that was taking time.
Yeah.
It was cold, it was raining, all that stuff. So we just started loading trucks, and Brian, I would look for important stuff,
Yep.
There are things that aren't
There's
worth
good
trying to
stuff.
repurpose, like clothing and stuff. That's not worth it.
All good
Too
stuff.
dirty.
I mean, all good stuff, and just went to the landfill.
Right.
And so,
Well, if you've been there very long, you discover at the landfill that people will throw away the darndest things.
Yeah.
Some of it's brand new. Some of it still has lots of life in it. We've had lawnmowers come that still run.
Yeah.
And there's some people, if they could get a lawnmower for $10, would just be jumping for joy. So I think those kinds of services that we probably should offer the county and have an ability to get something like that at a reduced price that they can and offer that to them. Now, like for a lawnmower, something like that requires us to take it over to the shop and start it, make sure it's going to run or see what's wrong with it. But so those are areas I think we could do a great deal in. I would suggest that maybe on the incentive program that we not wait until next year's budget, because I would like to. I think the longer we wait, the harder it's becoming for me to keep the employees digging in the trash. And they've worked really hard this year for me. They've built up. I've got another big pile of metal ready to sell, and we'll have to put it. I don't know if our contract will extend to the end of the year. The one we extended already, it probably have to rebid it now.
With
Our metal contract.
Yeah, that one would expire.
It would expire.
We had amended it already.
Yeah,
just
we've
for
already
this
amended it
one
once,
other
correct.
Time we would have
Correct.
to go back out to bid.
So we'd
for it.
probably have to
you're
rebid
looking-
it again. But
you're looking at a minute.
I'd like to try to get them rewarded, this year if we can, just because I've been working so hard at getting them to pick up metal. That would be my personal opinion. And the reason why is because if we keep extending it into the next year's budget, then it's going to be a whole nother year before they see the results of it. And then by then you lose a lot of interest.
Yeah, and we can work on it. So you're looking at the next meetings in October.
Yeah.
Already.
Just
and
getting
so-
it approved so that at the end of this year, we could pay anything that we do this year.
Okay. Yeah, it's timing, just timing.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
just get it on the agenda and get it. to
All
you.
right.
Yeah, I agree with Jed.
Yeah, I
think
agree
that
with that too, because
important that if they've been working, they need to see a.
They need to
reward.
see the result of that because I mean, it's been a really hard push on my part to keep them getting off the machine, because they all know as an operator, it's easier just to smash this stuff.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
I would really like to
just
try
look
to,
at your contract and
and
come
even
back
as,
in.
even as hard as I've worked on them, I think they still have days when they looked at, oh, we're not getting nothing for that. We'll just smash that. And so they get the really big obvious stuff, but the little tiny stuff that really requires them to get really dirty, they're leaving behind. And if we can get them incentivized to go get that too, then I think we'll see a dramatic increase.
What do the taxes behind it look like? I mean, there's some things that we still have to work out on.
Most of what other companies do is they just pay the taxes on when they pay in the bonus.
Okay. And it's things like that we just got to figure
Yeah.
out. How does that work with downstairs?
Yeah, they pay just like, it'd be a part of a payroll process, but
Okay. So there's things like we just got to set up to make it happen.
Mhm.
So
Let's try and do it this
Yeah.
year.
okay. All right. I'll make sure that's submitted for October. Mostly, any questions for me?
No, I'm just, we gotta get that.
The house, we need
house
to get your
done.
building.
I would agree. The building needs to be done.
This
It's
We need to-
year.
Yeah.
it's in terrible shape.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you guys been there, but I've been there and I know what it looks like and
The door jambs half the time we're just propping them and shimming them to make sure the doors will close.
Well, I just thought we'd approved this thing and it was moving
We did.
along.
it
We
is,
did.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit,
Just time.
And
shocking to me that
come
we
in,
haven't.
come in.
I think if I would have been left with the control to just go out and get it after it would have been done too, but I wasn't. That was taken away from me.
Could have
So
done it as well, but we got to have a licensed contractor.
Well,
anyway,
we can visit about how
Yeah, and I'll
We
check
can-
with Sam. Sam talked to me last week. He's still trying to work on it.
maybe we can visit with Sam
can
and
spin
see
it-
some
spin
of
it
the
up a
things
little
we
bit
could
quicker.
do from our end.
The difficult part is he can't drop the sheriff's building to
I know.
come over here, and so
I
Sam's
understand
trying
that.
to juggle just as many balls in the air as everybody else, and so
Yeah, that's
I
understandable.
understand the landfills.
Yep.
The needs are there, but the needs are
Yeah.
everywhere, unfortunately, with our maintenance side of it, and so
Yeah.
we'll try to get what we can get.
Appreciate your time. The only other thing that I would maybe look at it concerning that is that I think if we could get cement poured at least within the next 30 days to 60 days,
Mhm.
then we would have a real chance at getting at least a building structure up with a roof on it.
And that was where we.
And if
needed the
I could
design,
transfer
right?
my scales into there, then that might be, even if the building's just a shell to start with, that might be a big help.
Yeah.
He might have to give you the number so that maybe you can make the calls.
Right. Okay.
So
Anyway, that's kind of where we're at with that. Appreciate all you have done for us, for sure.
We appreciate your work and your workers'
you.
work, and thank you for the update, and
Once again, you're always welcome to come see us, and
thank you for.
we'll show you around the stinky part of this county. Actually, surprisingly enough, we're able to contain the smell pretty good. It stays, if you cover the trash and stuff, it
always
stays
windy.
contained. So
Cool. Thanks, Jed.
you bet. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
Good report. Thanks,
Thanks.
Jed.
You bet.
Okay,
We are done for that one.
okay.
Good morning.
Come in, guys. All right, we won't start our commission meeting for
15 minutes.
15 minutes.